to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
John Bouquet. Here. Diane Carson.
Here.
Jessica Decker. Here. Lori Homer. Here. Pam Lutfi. Jack O'Leary.
No, just texting her, so she can delegate because she has to let it down tonight for the person of this.
Alicia Sheehan. Here. Rosemary Walsh.
Here.
And John Lubowski.
Here.
Can I have a volunteer to read the mission statement?
I'm happy to do that. Corey, you got it?
Oh, I think it's all you.
Okay, not finding it, and I just clicked the wrong button.
I'll give it a try. Okay. Delaware Valley School District, in partnership with our community, stands committed to maximizing student potential, fostering lifelong learning, and promoting responsible citizenship.
Okay, is there a motion to adopt the agenda? Motion. Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Hearing none opposed, the motion carries. Just remind everybody, public comment will be at the end of the meeting. We want to get through a lot of stuff quickly. Presentations, there's no presentation tonight, so we move on to approval of the minutes. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of the regular board meeting held January 12th, 2019.
Motion.
Second? Is there a second? What did I say?
January. Said January. We don't want to go back to January.
Please no. 2018.
Second.
Any discussion? All
I
those in
need
favor?
to abstain, I wasn't here.
I'll take off. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. No objections, motion carries. Reports, student representative reports. We don't have any because we don't have any students. Administrative reports, attendance reports. You don't have anything, right, Doug? Financial reports. Are there any comments on the financial reports? Okay. Superintendent's report.
Okay, I just have two highlights for you. First of all, I want to welcome Mr. Jim Mitchell to the table tonight as the Director of Secondary Ed. So welcome, Jim.
Thank you.
How many years for you?
15,
How many years did you do that?
12.
No, so.
Starting at 28 years old.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Full sports started this past Monday, so that's why you see tons and tons of kids outside every day. And so far, the signups for sports look really good. They bounced back from last year, where some of the middle school sports were light, and they've come back nicely. New teacher orientation is next Tuesday. We have 20-some new teachers again this year. The 10-month staff, which is like your teachers and your IAs and your cafeteria staff, come back for Thursday when we have the State of the District address in the auditorium. Next Friday is a staff training day for all the employees. And then the kids are back on Monday, the 27th. And then I know everybody's here about elementary enrollment. As Dawn said, we'll get through the agenda pretty quickly because it's light tonight. And then that way, under other business, we can talk about elementary enrollment. I can update you where we are as of today, at the close of business today, and then we can kick around things, okay? That's it, thanks.
Treasurer's report. Can I have a motion to accept the treasurer's report?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
I didn't ask for discussion. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objection, the motion carries. Bills for payment. May I have a motion to accept the bills for payment, which include the general fund, cafeteria fund, capital reserve fund, and the 2017 construction fund?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion. I do have one question. I think I might have asked this before. What is Dude Solutions?
Student Solutions is our database for our teachers and our administrators putting requests for either maintenance issues or
Okay, I
technology
remember you
issues.
talking about, okay, yeah, just.
That's weird.
It's a strange thing.
Dude.
Just like a ticket system, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's service requests.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objections, the motion carries. Personnel items. May I have a motion to approve the personnel items including resignations, appointments, child rearing leaves, change of status, change of salary, and change of effective dates?
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing no objections, motion carries. Items for approval. May I have a motion to approve the additional volunteers according to the attachment?
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objections, the motion carries. May I have a motion to approve the termination of employee number 2018-2019-02842 as a classified employee of the Delaware Valley School District effective July 25th, 2018?
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? There can't be. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objection, the motion carries. May I have a motion to approve Christopher Lordy as the Delaware Valley School District's School Safety and Security Officer as per Act 44 of 2018?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objection, the motion carries. May I have a motion to approve James Mitchell as the Delaware Valley School District's Title IV ADA and Civil Rights Compliance Officer, Title IX, sorry, ADA and Civil Rights Compliance Officer?
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objection, the motion carries. May I have a motion to approve Samantha Loria to work with Vivian Bruno to complete her social work practicum? Is that, am I saying that right? Thank you. For Marywood University from on or about August 28th, 2018 through on or about June 30th, 2019.
Motion.
The dates are wrong in the motion?
On my,
August
I have June, August 27th through June 13th.
You just said 30th, that's all. Right? You said 30th, June 30th. That's why I had to ask him.
June 13th, 2019. Yeah,
As well.
that's, okay. Can I have a motion? I think I already had a motion with John. Is there a second? Any discussion? Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objection, the motion carries. May I have a motion to approve Dana Devanzo to work with Vivian Bruno to complete her social work I'm not going to be able to say that again. Thank you. For Marywood University from on or about August 27th, 2018 through on or about June 13th, 2019.
Second.
Any discussion?
What buildings are they gonna be in? Are they gonna both be in this,
Vivian covers both middle schools, so they'll be working in both.
in both middle schools? Okay, good.
Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objection, the motion carries. May I have a motion to approve the bus drivers and corresponding routes for the 2018-2019 school year in accordance with the attachment?
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion?
What kind of changes are we looking at, John? Have you got any idea how these routes have been adjusted?
No.
There's slight modifications were done based on kids moving in and out, but there's no changes in the number of bus runs or where they're trying to place where buses are going.
Mileage is about the same.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objection, the motion carries. May I have a motion to approve the 2019 minibus bid for a 16-passenger plus one wheelchair capacity, less trade-in on a 2011 Ford Red Light minibus, 18-passenger plus one wheelchair capacity, in accordance with the attachment?
Motion?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objection, the motion carries. May I have a motion to approve the sale of career and technical education auto tech lab used equipment according to the attachment? Jessica, right?
Yeah.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objection, the motion carries. May I have a motion to approve the revised curricula for the 2018-2019 school year? According to the attachment.
Second.
John, second Jessica, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objection, the motion carries. Please note in the minutes that the following policies are under review. Policy 227, drug, alcohol, and drug paraphernalia, and policy 808, food services. And now, is there any other business from the board?
Can I just ask a question because I was out of town for the last meeting? John, these aren't in the regular cycle. Why are these coming up now and what kind of discussions did I miss last meeting?
I can address the 808 food services. The food service policy was updated. Remember we talked about the food shaming and the account giving? Well, the state legislature just passed a revision over the summer. And PSBA came out with a revision this week. So we'd like to try to get it passed for the start of the school year or September, after you get a chance to review it. So if you look on page 3 of the policy, it basically just addresses the food shaming and allowing students in the high school only with low or balance money owed, that it can be addressed privately with the students. So the cafeteria workers could call the student aside and mention, hey, by the way, your lunch counts overdrawn, or, you're getting low, you only have 50 cents left. They'll be able to do that. Prior to this whole year, we haven't been able to do that with high school. It will not change anything with the elementary school. That will remain the same, and we will not speak with students. The correspondence will go directly to the parent.
I do remember the discussion on policy 227, so I'm okay with it.
Any other business from the board? Not there yet.
I have a question about the food service.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Are we still in the cooperative for the food?
Yes. I think we're actually in the second year of the contract. John?
Yeah, if you look in your folders, I'll walk you through a moment where we're at as of today. This is a moving target every day. I'll give you the highlights from each school, where we're at. The first one will be Keller Valley Elementary School, and the school titles up on the end. We have to left hand. And I'm just gonna point out the grades that are 25 or higher. At DBES, grade 3 is 25 across the board. And grade 5 is 26, 27, and 27. On the next page, it's Shahola. Shahola's kindergarten is at 27 and 26. And you'll see the yellow to the right. They're outstanding unfinished applications. I mean, people have started new student registration, but they haven't completed them yet. So we're at 27, 26 with 2 more dangling out there. Grade 4 at Shahola is 29, 28, 29 with 2 dangling out there. And then Shahola grade 5 is 27, 25, 28 with 1 dangling out there. At the primary school, their numbers are 24, 26, 26, 27, 27, 27.
What class?
Oh, sorry, second grade.
Okay, repeat that, please.
3 27s, 2 26s, and a 24. Sometimes one class may be a little lower because of inclusion. So 157. And then at the elementary, Kingman's Elementary School, grade 3 is their higher one. And they're at 27, 26, 27, 25, 26, 27. For a total of 158. They have 2 incomplete applications dangling out there. So we've got a multitude of classes that, I'll give you an example of Shahola. When we were doing budget in the spring, there were only 32 kids signed up for kindergarten at Shahola.
It's 42.
Well, originally,
There's originally 39, and then.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
and now we're up at 53 with 2 more out there. So you can see how it's changed dramatically over the summer. I just want to clarify a couple things. Some people thought, because I think I got 4 or 5 emails this week. Some people thought there was money in the budget for the positions that we just need to fill them. And that's actually not the case. With the 4 positions that were cut because of lower enrollment, there isn't money sitting in the budget for those positions. The budget, when the positions were left unfilled, the money just went by the wayside as well. And then the other thing I wanted to point out is it's not unusual for us to have classes at around 25, 26, or 27 in all 4 schools. We've had that before. You know, if you're relatively new to elementary school, you may not have experienced it with your kids, but we have it happen quite often. So that's why we were a little surprised by the buzz last week on Facebook, because all our buildings have had it, all our buildings have dealt with it before. So I just wanted to point that out. I didn't want you to think this is something that's never happened before.
John, I'm a little concerned about the numbers at Shahola. We're looking at one of those classes probably hitting 30. Grade 5 is looking pretty crowded, but kindergarten, to me, that's really, really high for kindergarten class. I'm also uncomfortable not having any budgetary reserve at all, especially before we even start the school year. So I don't have a solution to this.
And we've talked, we've done a lot of interviewing of additional possible teachers so that we'd be ready if we needed more teachers, and we still might. Because those of us been around a long time, we watched this happen in the summer, and then right after Labor Day, some years we get hit by people who come from New York and New Jersey who don't know school starts in August, and they show up after Labor Day. And then when we get to day 10 and kids don't show up, then they get dropped from the rolls. So we watch it do this in the summer. Then sometimes you get a little bit of a spike right after Labor Day, and then after day 10 it drops again. So it moves nonstop. So we're gonna have to continue to watch all these numbers, in prep for the September meeting, and times maybe even October. One year we added many years ago, we added a section in October because it just kept coming and coming after Labor Day. So it's a moving target, all of these. Kindergarten is the strangest one of all, though. Once kids come, we know what we have. We know what issues kids have, kids that don't get along, dividing kids, separating kids. But kindergarten is wild because you don't know a lot about it. So you don't really know you have your numbers, but you don't necessarily know, is that a quiet 27 or is that gonna be a wild 27? Because, you don't have a big history with them. So and it's hard because there are probably more kids than in quite a long time that don't have a preschool experience. We went through a cycle where every year we were getting more and more kids with a preschool experience, and now we're seeing it backing off. And we don't know if that's the economics of moms working and or what the case might be. But so kindergarten is one. We met with the elementary principals, and yesterday we talked after some interviews, and we've all dealt with 25, 26, 27s, 28s before, and that's nothing new for us. But the kindergarten numbers, we all talked about, that one is our really, if we're gonna do anything, that would be our number one concern right now.
I know we had an extensive discussion back in June when we were doing budget about those class sizes. And at the time, when we took that, when it was recommended to take that kindergarten position and not fill it for next year, there were a lot of board members who were very concerned about that. And the discussion always was that if those numbers increase, then we will divide that back into 3 sections. So I would like to divide that back into 3 separate sections before school starts and not make those kindergartners. And the kindergarten teachers start the school year off with 27 and, I mean, adding 2 more kids, you're talking about a section of 28 kids in kindergarten. So I'm not sure how the other board members feel, but I don't think in good conscience that we can start a school year off with 28 kids in a kindergarten class.
I agree with you, Jessica. That's what I would like to do, but I just don't know how we're gonna fund that teacher.
I think that's what we discussed it back in June. We said the first thing that we would take out of budgetary reserve was that teacher. So,
Well, that's gonna leave you with pretty much 0 in budgetary
and
reserve.
historically, in the past couple of years, we have not used our budgetary reserve, and I think that splitting a kindergarten class warrants using that money out of that budgetary reserve. We have plenty of money in CapEx. If something happens to one of our buildings, then maybe we don't have tennis courts. But to divide a kindergarten class that's going to have 28 kids takes priority over any other. Our priority is to educate our students. Our facilities are wonderful, and I think it's wonderful to have those extras. But at the end of the day, our job as school board directors is to educate the students of our district. And I don't think, God bless the kindergarten teachers, and I think that they are phenomenal. But to have 28 kids in a classroom, you could have the best teacher in the world, and especially the kids that are coming into kindergarten have greater needs than ever before. So to keep 28 kids in a class, even with a full-time IA, I think we can't do it. So that's mine.
Bill, with budget excess from last year, is that all going to CapEx? Have we made a final decision on that yet?
We won't know that till October.
The auditors don't even come on site till the beginning of September. And like I mentioned last meeting, I mean, I can't tell you about the expenditure side. I'm hoping to cover, we are not going to meet our revenues on the revenue side. I mentioned that all year. And I believe we're going to have a shortfall in revenue for a variety of reasons that we can't necessarily control, except we have the budgets getting tighter and tighter every year. But the expenditure side, I'm hoping to cover that. But
What do we need?
budgetary reserve.
What did we hope to fund CapEx at?
Well, there was no number. That was still up in the air. In other words, we were not going to make any decision on if in fact there is a surplus. I don't think it's going to be of any like high quantity. And we did not have that obligated anywhere. It was going to be an open discussion in October with the board, whether it was going to be committed or whatever. But the budgetary reserve, the teacher would be approximately, with benefits and things like that, would be the neighborhood of 90 out of the 150.
Well, I'm inclined to agree with Jessica and add that teacher. I'm hoping that we can replace some money into budgetary reserve based on excess from last year's budget. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know that that's going to happen. Again, I'm uncomfortable with depleting budgetary reserve to that level. But I agree in principle with everything Jessica said. That's where I stand.
In high school code, you cannot make any budget transfers till after the first 90 days of the school year. And so, you know, we will know more in October. But when you would open, I don't think you would open the budget up, but you would know more comfortably where you would stand at that point.
Thank you.
John, can I ask a question? Instructional assistants, IAs. What teachers, I mean, is that for instance, do kindergarten teachers, do those classrooms always have IAs assigned to assist the teachers, or how does that work?
No, it's not like there's full-time IAs or anything like that. There are a series of IAs that serve special ed, and then there are IAs that serve regular ed, predominantly in the lower grades, because they help with learning centers when they're doing in reading and things of that nature. But it's not like there's an aid for every classroom or anything like that. They have a schedule. It might be a chunk of it may be in kindergarten, but another chunk may be in first grade or second grade, something like that.
And 2 years ago, we added 3 additional instructional assistants, primarily for kindergarten because of the Orton Dillingham program. So we added 2 to the Dingman's Delaware primary school, and we added 1 additional role in the Delaware Valley. And the primary responsibility is working in the kindergarten classrooms. But again, that's during reading centers primarily, so.
My thinking is right in line with Jessica's. I mean, this is really Jessica's wheelhouse, you know, in working with these children. And I mean, if numbers don't come back on that Shahola, will that kindergarten teacher now be able to move within the elementary school?
Yeah, they're certified.
They're certified.
Many of them are pre-K to 4, some are all the way to 6th grade.
Because that's what that would be my only worry, because then, of course, knowing next year you have 1919, you know, so if we were able to repurpose and follow that class along, because now that we can predict, you know, that'd be good, that'd be useful.
I know a lot of that going on. EVES has a lot of that going on, where they'll have 3 sections, 4 sections, 3 sections, and
Right.
teachers are wiggling each year to a different spot to follow the kids.
When you said the
Remember,
kindergarten.
in first grade, there are 3 teachers for next year.
Right.
So,
Oh,
you know,
that's
if
true.
if next
Right.
year's enrollment at Chihuly is really sticks to 42, then, you know, maybe that kindergarten teacher, you know, somebody moves to 5th grade, you know, when
Right.
those, because those 4th grade numbers, you know,
Yeah.
or a different school where, you know, where enrollment has increased.
Yeah.
I am uncomfortable with the size of some of these classes. And I hope we take this as instruction that we'll think about next year when we vote for a budget, because I agree with John's observation. And I wish the majority of the board had not voted for a 0% increase in the budget. If we had had a minimal increase that some of us had advocated for, we wouldn't be in the awkward position of trying to fit a square peg into a round hole financially.
But they weren't asking for elementary school teachers at that point when we were discussing a tax increase. I mean, we have to remember that too, when we were
But
discussing.
it does
that
affect the
increase.
budgetary reserve, yeah.
Right, no,
But we asked if we needed those teachers.
right, I mean, we were going on
Said-
administration recommendation. If they came to us and really said, we need an elementary school teacher, there's nobody on this board that'll say, we're not giving you an
But we all
elementary school
know that
teacher.
these numbers develop over the summer too, and that's exactly why you have a budgetary reserve, to be cautious. I think, you know, it was my position that a 0% tax increase was irresponsible. It's taken 2 months to demonstrate that, in my opinion. And I just hope we take it as instruction for next year.
With all due respect, Ryan, I think many people, including you, just said that the budgetary reserve is there for this purpose. As Jessica mentioned, having much more time on the board than I did, the budgetary reserve is very seldom used. So I think this is the perfect purpose to use it. This is what it's intended for.
But I think we dropped the budgetary reserve also. I think if we had kept
We
it at
did.
250, I think we would have been a little bit more comfortable with some of the. I mean, to lose 90,000 out of 150, we lose more than half.
I think we
Within
also
the
have
first week of
20 in
school.
committed funds
We have
that
reserves.
I was just going to say, we have plenty of other, maybe not in the budgetary reserve line item, but there's other money. And yes, they're committed for, you know, CapEx and, you know, PSERS and all those things, but at the same time, that money, should we have something else occur this year that we need that money for, we have that ability to move that money. This needs to take precedence.
And our recommendation is to do something about kindergarten, with adding another teacher. There's 150,000 in budgetary reserve. This will take 90. This will be 90,000 for salary and benefits and everything. And then we have another thing that's transpired where one of our teachers is gonna be out sick for an extended period of time. And that's gonna consume about almost another 50, so about 140 of the 150. So we may very well have to look at the reserve accounts and say, you know, if something, you know, you don't know what's gonna happen, a boiler goes, something like that goes, you know, we have to lean on those accounts because we're gonna exhaust budgetary reserve. So we're fortunate to have those though.
I was just gonna say, we have plenty of things that, you know, through our facility report are on the, you know, are on the list for things in future summers, but it may take an extra year to get them if we need staff.
I know to split kindergarten and roll the dice on the boiler, we'll find money somewhere for it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
So do we have a name for tonight?
We actually do, because we've done a whole series of interviews and ranked people, so we have a person that, I don't know if we want to give people a chance to talk, but then if that's whatever we want, under other business, we can actually do an appointment.
Okay.
I would like to open it up to the public before we actually vote on it.
Right.
Raise your hand, be acknowledged. Anybody?
Nobody's gonna say anything.
Why did we cut the budget so extensively?
You could just state your name.
Oh, sorry. Sean wasn't. Kind of. But why would we put ourselves in a position where the budget was so slim that if there was a series of emergencies?
The budget actually increased. So you know, DV is spending more money to do what it does this year than it did the previous year.
I apologize, I'm talking about, there was no increase in revenues.
Correct.
Why did we not increase revenues to account for,
That was the decision of the majority of the board.
We went through a series of meetings over the springtime, and I would just say that a majority of the discussion focused around the winter we had, the businesses. Because we think about residential folks paying their tax bill, we also have to think about the businesses in our community that have to pay that tax bill after that winter we had. We had 20 snow days just ourselves. The majority of the businesses were shut down. They weren't getting revenues in. And for us to come out and say, we need a tax increase, and not to say it's for specific kindergarten teachers, for instance, just to say we need a tax increase without anything really, I think that the board didn't feel at the point, or at the time, there's a specific line item that really warranted a tax increase. And that's why we didn't move to increase taxes this year from my perspective. I don't know if anybody else, but I think that's a majority of the conversation.
but is that really fiscally responsible? And what do we do to the kids? Like, these class sizes are not even, they don't even compare to the average in the state. The state's average is actually 22.1, which there is no 0.1 student, but
Right. No, I
22.1, and we have all of these classes that are far over
totally
22
agree.
students.
But if the administration had come to the board at that time to say, class sizes are looking like this, we need an extra,
So it's the
teacher.
administration?
no, I would say it's difficult. I mean, it's difficult in that regard. If there was something on the board that said we needed an elementary school teacher coming up, and we knew that that was coming up, I guarantee you we probably would have raised taxes at that point.
But that's not reasonable,
Why?
because nobody has a crystal ball. That's the whole reason that this is so concerning, because if you do have a series of emergencies, you already have a budget shortfall, so what will we do?
And that's why we have a budgetary reserve now.
But it's not, it looks like it's gonna get eaten up.
But
Right.
we also have other funds that are, we have CapEx funds, we have a PSERS fund, we have an OPEB account. So there's millions of other dollars that are committed that you can use for various different things.
How many
So-
millions?
Our PSERS account has 9 million in it.
So that's all
So,
movable
and
funds?
with 6 votes, yes, you could move that. So if we had, if we needed more money in CapEx because, we have a boiler that goes, that, yes, you absolutely could move that and use that to pay for the boiler.
What does PSERS stand for?
It's the state, school employees retirement system.
Also, we'd be taking money from the state retirement account. Okay. I just want to clarify.
No, we are meeting our annual obligation. That is
I
extra
just want
money
the
that we
public
put
to
in there.
understand, we're
That's
speaking in acronyms, but,
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
I mean, just so you know the whole picture, our obligation to the PSERS is going up every year.
Yes,
It's going up a lot.
yes.
That's why we established those funds, put them away so we'd be able to continue to meet those obligations. So it's not as if we have money sitting in the bank for no reason. Okay, those funds were committed for a reason. In an emergency, I think we could find 6 board members to take money out of that and do what we need to do. Okay, but we did make cuts from what administration suggested. So let's be honest with everybody. This board, when it was considering the budget, deliberately decided to cut back on the administration's recommendations and come in with a 0% tax increase.
So cut back on elementary school teachers?
No.
Okay,
Budget in
just to
general.
be clear.
So, I mean, I stated at that time that I thought it was not the most responsible thing to do. But the majority of the board decides, and that's the way you go.
One last question. What exactly is the thought process around keeping these class sizes so large? Because it is kind of counterintuitive to indicate it by studies, for example.
Well, actually, I did the math just before you came in. Ours is 23.2 is now our average. If you do for every grade across the 4 buildings. So it's 23.2.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, just because you were.
Every grade, yes, no,
Yeah,
you're right.
Yeah,
Every grade across which building, school building?
yeah, if you add up the class size, all the class sizes for all 77 sections of K through 5,
Right.
it comes out to 23.2.
How is it that we have lower grades though that have these large numbers? Because that's also not well indicated by studies.
Well, actually, if you want to talk about peer reviewed research, the research says that while we all like to have smaller class sizes, the peer reviewed research says if you don't get it down to 15, it will not have a significant impact on student achievement. 15.
Smaller is better.
Well, that's what we all believe. But the research says if you don't get it to 15, you won't see a significant correlation with student achievement.
So if you don't get it down to 15, there's no point in trying.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying if you're going to cite research, I'm going to tell you what the research says of how low you have to drive it.
But that doesn't really answer my question, because that's still not explaining why we're keeping them so high. We know the research indicates that 15 is like,
And we're not going to ever have 15.
so why not reach to try to get there, get closer at least? Because I think lots of the parents here with me today are worried about class size. And rightfully so, because when you have these higher class sizes, it's more difficult for the teachers to teach, and it also results in a lot of disciplinary problems.
Well, I guess my point, two things. Number one, you should all come back as budget plans. That's most important because nobody comes.
When exactly, I'm sorry to
April
interrupt.
and May is when we do.
April and May is budget,
Because
okay.
we're literally.
I know it goes in
we-
June, but
we
okay, that's
spend-
when you
we
work
spend
on
hours
it.
and hours and hours trying to
Okay.
work on a budget, and literally nobody comes. And so we would encourage everybody to come, seriously, because it's in your own best interest to be here and advocate. But secondly, the other thing I want to say, and I'm not saying I'd rather have 27 instead of 22, and I'm not saying that. What I'm saying, to make the budget work, we're not doing anything that we haven't done before. Our teachers have successfully taught in the upper 20s, just like they've successfully taught in the lower 20s.
Our sports team.
And you're going to compare which year to which.
And what if
And
we
you're going
come
to
in
change the
court?
test, because it's hard to do.
Well, which year did they change the test? I did try to change that. What was the year the test was changed? Okay, so I had scores from 2013, 2014. There's nothing out there for 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017, and the year prior. And there were drops at all 4 schools from 2015, 2016 to 2016, 2017.
If you were to come, the board meetings, when that was presented to us, they also had the statistics from all the other schools in the area and across the state. And it's not like it only dropped here at Delaware Valley. And if I remember correctly, our drop wasn't as severe as a lot of the other schools. So it was a product of the change in the test rather than, our students failing.
The test did change.
Yes.
Okay,
I mean, and we also had class sizes that were large during those years.
of course.
This is not,
That's my
not a
point.
new anomaly. I mean, the class sizes don't necessarily equate directly to student achievement.
That's not what the research says.
Dr. Bell just reiterated what the research says.
15 students.
15 students.
What
You have
study
to
are we
remember too, we only
basing
have so
that?
many classrooms. So
What study are we basing
It was
15 on?
a Tennessee study.
The Tennessee study? Okay.
Now, if we were to try to get if 25 was the magic number,
Yeah.
and if we were gonna try to get every section of every grade under 25, I just looked, it would probably be 9 more teachers. So that's $810,000
Right.
that we have to try to pull out there.
That would mean your taxes
That's
go
not
up.
happening.
And I'm sure we have space.
That would mean your taxes go up.
We don't have.
Okay. But the Tennessee study even saw improvements with 20 to 25 students with a teacher's aide. So why are we not even looking at that as an option? Because 20 to 25 is actually reachable with teacher's aide. And we don't have aides in the classrooms on a regular basis.
If
right?
we want to
Which
get
is
every
that.
class in the 20 to 25, we need $810,000. Because we have
22 to 25?
if we want to get them below 25, because we would have to do DVES grade 3, DVES grade 5, so Shahola kindergarten, Shahola 4th grade, Shahola 5th grade, primary school 2nd grade, elementary school 3rd grade.
But isn't that our first responsibility for students?
Well, 25 is not a silver bullet either. Let's not pretend it's a silver bullet.
I'm not saying it's just a little, but 22 to 25 for the teacher's aide is more ideal than what we're doing right now. and that's achievable. Not this year.
Not this year.
No.
No, not this year. That's something we have to.
But that is something that
We
we
have to
could
build in the future,
legitimately
and we need people to come and say, please, 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 I will pay more.
All right, well,
That's
let's
what
see
we
my
need.
face.
Seriously, that's what we need, because nobody comes. So we don't get any feedback one way or the other. You know, we're here all by ourselves, and people don't come.
Except for Ally.
Is there a way to,
I'm sorry, could you just state your name?
Heather Bailey? Is there a way to maybe get that information, the agenda out more to the public? Maybe you guys need to, reach out, like,
Every agenda's on the website, and every.
your
meeting-
website
And
is awkward and it stinks.
right on the.
It is so difficult to find things back and forth. I call people up back and forth, and it's across the board, the biggest major complaint.
And all the, or you could call an office, you can see the posting in every.
I called an
school.
office, I was trying to contact DB Elementary School for a quick question, and I kept getting homework hotline, not in there yet. I got new student enrollment, which was a recorded message, and then if you would wait for the office, as soon as you got wait to the office, it hung up.
And every meeting's also on, live on the web, right now there's a camera, so this is live, so you don't even have to come to follow along. You know, that's the nice thing, you have childcare issues, or you can't get there, you can watch it on TV as well.
And that would be common when I'm not here.
Oh, no, I'm just saying, but if you can't make it, at least there's another option.
Could we put it on our Facebook?
That would be helpful.
Yeah, that would be.
If we put it on the DD Facebook page, at least, advertising the meeting, maybe on like the Tuesday before the meeting to remind people that we have the work session at the meeting.
And because I know you also located in different buildings, the same thing,
Right.
that would be extremely
I forget
helpful.
where we're going, supposed to go sometimes, so thankfully Julie sends out an email to remind us.
Mhm.
And put it out in lieu of publicly showing up. I mean, would you accept letters? People's concern for the board, or do you have to physically come here?
No, we take letters all the time.
We get letters in
Also-
our board packet.
And there's a school board email too. There's a school board
And
email.
those are considered when budget stuff comes up.
You know, anything like that, we would take feedback from anybody.
Are those letters read into the record, or how does that work?
It depends what.
You know, like I'm on record right now, but
Well, if you send it to the DB, the DB board email address, it'll go to our president.
Okay.
And Jack apologized for not being here, he's on vacation in Maine, but I think we talked at least 2 or 3 times every day this week, because it was a big deal to him too, about the class sizes. But yeah, the emails to any of the DB school board, the packet we send it to the board, it goes to Jack.
Mhm.
And then Jack usually briefs the board about what's going on.
okay,
I got 4 emails about classroom attendance, I got 3 emails about inside recess, when it was warm enough to go outside, or, stuff like that.
He might not read your specific email, but he'll bring it up as a concern.
okay, as a general concern, is
Yes.
okay.
And
that's
you
my
also
question.
have the right to, you can put a letter in 9 envelopes and drop them off at the administrative office, or email it and say, I know, or email it and say, I would like this to be put in each board member's folder. And if you request that, it will happen.
I have some other comments. You had said numbers start to develop over the summer. What I know, last year, my son's first grade class, basically had 24, 25, 7 teachers at this point, and this would be over in the primary and everything. Those numbers really haven't changed too much. I think that the numbers were there specifically for the first going into the second grade now, when we have the 6 teachers. That's saying that the numbers develop over the summer, that we don't need another teacher because we have lower kids. The numbers were kind of there. Some of them, for some of the grades, not all of the grades. So I think that's a little bit, I'm not comfortable with that. Like, I know how many sections were there, and I know how many kids, and I've seen the same thing with their how many teachers. I didn't see all of a sudden a drop in the classes in any of my kids' sizes or anything like that to warrant the cutting of, or the non-hiring of teachers that had resigned. That was just something that I had noticed personally and seen that. And then my other question, it kind of goes to something that you had touched on. You had asked about if you hired the kindergarten teacher for Shahola and everything, could you move into grades? I am under the impression that when you contract with a teacher, it is to the district, not to a specific school. So within that school, and it's for their teaching certificate, whatever their range is.
I think that's where his question was more.
But the other question is too, if some schools have different numbers disproportionate, can we reallocate teachers? And within our contract, right?
Yes,
We
yes.
do it every year.
Yeah.
We do it every year.
I haven't seen too much of that, but that may be something that we need to also look at, where our grades, whatever school has the lower ratios and things like that,
Absolutely.
to look at those numbers.
Dating back to 2006, we've been losing enrollment every year since then. So teachers have had to shift
Okay,
across elementary.
well, here's my
middle,
question, you
high.
keep saying we're losing enrollment and stuff, yet we have how many large classes? It kind of, it doesn't make sense to me. If we're losing kids, how come we all of a sudden have all these classes with all these amounts?
Well, over the course of time, we've eliminated probably 40 teaching positions.
Okay.
Because we went from 5,700 students, we hit an all-time high of just over 5,700 in 2000. Now we're at 4,600. So we're down about 1,100 kids across the 30 schools.
Okay, and with that, you eliminate those.
Positions.
Since we're at 46.
you know, around 40.
Okay, so that's actually more than your enrollment that was projected. 4507.
Did you have this one? But I hope it was 45 something, wasn't it? It was under 46, but it was over 45, somewhere in between. Yeah. What's happening is, we're graduating to about 400. And then, we haven't had a kindergarten that's even been 300, and probably, they're all in the twos. For probably like the last 3 or 4 or 5 years. It used to be for a while, we graduate 400 and we'd have 325, 350 at a kindergarten. Now it's we graduate 400 and we're down to getting 2 something coming in.
Once again, the same thing for kindergarten. My son also had 7 sections for that, which would have been, what, 2 years ago? For that it really didn't change, dropped significantly lower again, the numbers. And what's the magic number? Where are we, if we're getting more kids? Is there a magic number where you're like, we need to add a teacher? I think we're at the magic number in the Shahola kindergarten, but what about the other classes? Where are we at?
If we have a situation like that, we haven't had an issue, and this is my 7th year, so we haven't had an issue where we had to add a teacher at the end of summer. Till tonight, potentially. So we've never really had a conversation about the magic number. We, in the past, we used to watch, when it hit 27, we were like, uh-oh, if any more come.
But here's the thing, you eliminated 4 positions. Why would you not think that you weren't gonna have an issue come now?
Because based on the enrollment that we had in the spring, if we divided some of those schools those grades by 6 instead of 7, we still had decent numbers.
Maybe we need to get the word out for the people on enrollment a little bit better, so your numbers are more accurate.
That's one of our biggest problems. People wait till after class sizes are developed and everything. We send, every summer we put messages on the marquee, we beat the bushes all spring for kindergarten registration and everything.
Have you ever contacted the realtor offices for people that sell back and
And all
forth?
the preschools and everything.
We did an all-call in the spring to, all the students in the school. I actually got flack about saying, if you have a neighbor that has any children that need to enroll in school, please contact your elementary school immediately. And we got feedback that we're supposed to be spying on our neighbors. And it was really about budget time and trying to prep for what our positions were, what our needs
If we
were.
do have this big surge after Labor Day, how late into the school year will you add an addition?
Historically, we went all the way to October once, because they just kept coming. And the word was, and the board was great about, okay, now we got a class that's in a mess, we gotta do something. You can't just say, wait till next year.
And day 10 is a critical day for enrollment. We do daily head count every day, but day 1, day 2, day 3, day 3, we think that's the stable enrollment, but it's before Labor Day. So then we do another head count on day 10, and we see how many kids didn't show up at
Which is
all
a week
during
after
that
Labor
time.
Day.
Correct. And then we see, and at that point, we really do have a much better handle, K-12, on what our stable enrollment is. So that's a good benchmark to try to gauge where we are. Many, I don't want to say, we could get a lot more kids, but oftentimes we have kids that don't return,
Yes.
which affects the overall numbers.
And when I talk about the superintendents, and I said, we added 1,000 kids after 9/11, between 9/11 and 2017. We added 1,000 kids, and then when the recession hit, after the recession hit, we lost 1,000 kids. you've gained 1,000 and lost 1,000 in the 21st century? I'm like, yeah. And it creates havoc on our classes because it's so unpredictable of what's going on. You know, it seemed like every summer there, we were doing construction projects, probably from about late 80s all the way until probably 2004 or 2005. We had a construction project every single summer. It had classrooms, it had new schools, and everything.
Okay.
It's wild.
So my next is, we cut back on our teacher personnel and everything. Did we also cut back on our co-curricular personnel? Where were those cuts?
The only place where we've cut back there is if we had decreases, like for example, last year.
Well, we're having decreasing enrollment. Why wouldn't we automatically do it like we do teachers?
Well, the funny thing is, like, take our music program, for example. Even though we've lost like 1,000 kids, our music program is bigger than it's ever been. In like the 5 months, right? Isn't that, it's great. But,
Yeah.
but we actually have more kids in the music program than we've ever had, even though we're down 1,000 kids.
Because when I look at the co-curricular personnel and everything, I see spots and it's just like, it blows my mind.
We're trying to increase the number of students that are involved in co-curricular.
Mm-hmm.
I've been on the board for nearly 20 years now, and I have never expelled a student who was involved in co-curricular programs.
I'm all for that, but I have noticed that there is disproportional to certain co-curricular activities towards the other ones. Ones where the student athletes ratio to a trainer or a coach or anything like that is 3 to 1. Yet we have these class sizes that are huge, where your mission statement and your education is, you know, I don't have it somewhere, but I have it, Corey had it. Committed to maximizing student potential. Let's follow that and let's do that. We need to seriously look at the disproportionate
Well, I'll tell you.
activities in them.
I'll tell you two things. We don't have any activities that's 3 to 1. Not even football. OM.
You have football.
There's like 200 kids.
The varsity football?
Well, like for example, there was some silliness on Facebook. Anything on Facebook is true, right? That's not true. But there was a picture last week of the varsity and JV football team.
Sorry, I didn't see those
With
pages.
well, this got a comment going on Facebook. It had the varsity and the JV in uniform, and it had the varsity coaches, the JV coaches, the freshman coaches, the trainer, the DV middle school coaches, the Dingle's middle school coaches. So they counted up all the coaches and divided by the number of kids in the picture, and were trying to do their math to figure out what the ratio was, which was totally out of whack because.
According to the co-curricular budget, there's 1 head coach, there are 10 assistant coaches, and there's 3 specialists. I don't know what specialist is for the school. What do they do?
And if you do 10 assistant coaches at $3,000, that's $30,000.
Oh, they're not at $3,000. Your football staff on average is over 6,500. The lowest one is 6,100, your assistant coach. The highest one goes up to about 70. If you add up all their salaries, it's 74,000. Secondly, every other sport on there has most of them have 3, track has 4 for it. The other ones that have the higher numbers, it's boys and girls and everything like that. Well, that's fine because they're separate ones. And then you also have the specialists. I don't know whether they're specials or specialists, whatever they are. That's way more than the other ones. The other assistant coaches on average make about 5. It's from 4 something to sometimes 6,000 something. That's where your average is about 5 for your assistant coaches for all your other sports. While in football, your average is $1,000 higher and up there. And those are the things that I think we need to seriously look at and to apply fairly across the board to the other sports and to the
If I
other
can
ones.
reiterate, and then I think we need to move on to some other people that were putting their hands up, but come to the budget sessions. I came long
I know
before
where they
was
are
on-
now.
Yeah, I came long before I was on the board, but sports specialist was actually raised during the budget.
It was
So-
actually by you. You made a question like, why is this or something
You
or
must
other.
watch, you must be one of our fans.
I am. What is this? Can you actually explain that?
I think I couldn't explain it in what it exactly is. My guess is a sports specialist is trying to train on one particular or a few particular. If it's pitching, right? You're a pitcher,
And then softball,
get
it
better
could
at
be
it. If you're,
goalies and
quarterback.
Soccer, and they're
Right.
about 1,600.
They are, every one of them is actually 1,600. It is actually across the board the same salary, unlike the assistant coach. And I know there's gonna be
Well, there's a
variations and
formula,
stuff.
yeah, so specialists are just a straight salary, the
But-
other people are on a formula.
That is something that, you know, that's a lot.
Right, back to elementary attendance.
Ally?
So I understand that there's not a whole lot you can do tonight or beyond adding the extra kindergarten class. But what happens in 2 to 3 years when these classes that have the larger sizes start taking the PSSAs and the scores go down? Are you going to blame the teachers, or are you going to take some of that responsibility on yourself and get more teachers so that those kids get more attention?
Well, I think there's a couple different things there. The first thing, Ally, is that if these numbers hold after we get through Labor Day and after day 10, and these numbers hold throughout the year, then it could have a big impact on next year's budget. You know, because there's a lot of classes that are flirting with the danger zone, you know, and might need more help. But the flip side is, you know, it's not like we never taught PSSA tested grades through 27 or 28 class. We have done that.
I
We haven't
understand that,
crucified
but
anybody.
you have,
you
at
know.
Shahola, your 4th grade classes are 28, 29. That's a little excessive. And at what point are you gonna say that the falling scores weren't the fault of the teacher, they were the fault of the administration not getting enough teachers that created those class sizes?
And the other thing is, we have classes that, I mean, like I can tell you, one of my sons was in a big class all the way through. Like he had 26 or 27 in kindergarten, included 28 or 29. The next son, there were 19. And particularly at Shahola and EVE, there's great variation because there's fewer sections. So you can only divide them 3 ways or 4 ways. You can't hide them in 7 sections or 6 sections, you know, so that ebbs and flows. That is nothing new. That is nothing new. But you ask anybody, I have never crucified a teacher about test scores. In fact, every year when they call to honor us as one of the 3 or the 4 districts that have exceeded the state average on every single exam, and they what they call grading our schools in the Scranton Times, every year we're one of those 3 or 4 schools. And I always say, listen, we want to do well on the test, but we don't obsess with the test because there's a lot of other great teaching going on that has nothing to do with PSSAs. And I believe that thoroughly. We are not going to kill them with, you know, it's not going to be all about test prep. And I've been trying to harp on that every single year, that it's okay. Do the best you can, but don't freak out on test day because the hay's in the barn by then, you know.
Kids that struggle in the larger classes,
But we have a variety of things to help kids.
like, it looked like some reading teachers were eliminated.
No reading teachers were eliminated, they were all replaced.
They were, okay, my apologies, I didn't see that.
In some of the larger classes also, we have, there's students that are leading those classes for a lot of the educational portion of the day, for resource rooms and whatnot, so
Well, certainly, but
that
the
adjusts the
itinerant
number as well.
classes and the classes that have the included students, I mean, they sound like they have a relatively small class size, but I mean, how small?
Yeah, sometimes there are a couple of kids less. And then some of those numbers that I cited, that were 27, 26s or 28s, when it comes to academics time, some of them aren't that big because of the other kids that have their academics and self-contained, you know.
Do we need a motion?
I have another question about substitutes. Have you increased the number of substitutes that you have for this school year? Because I know last year there was a shortage, and specifically in the primary school, if they couldn't get a substitute, they were splitting that class up into the other sections.
And believe it or not,
So
we have
if you're gonna do that, then you're gonna push those classes over 30. And granted, I understand that that's generally just for that day, but over the course of the year, how many times does that happen? And how does that affect those kids that are getting shoved into different classrooms?
we actually have more subs than we've ever had. However, what we're finding is more and more subs are working in multiple districts. So now a lot of the subbing is done with an app on the phone where they can sign up for what they want. As opposed to the old days, you talked to the little old lady who called and said, could you please cover secretary? Now, not this district, other districts like your old days. So what happens is, we have people who will sub with us, and literally, we have more subs than we've ever had. But they're choosing, because they might sub here, they might sub in Strasbourg, they might sub in Paulback, and they pick and choose on the app where they want to go, what they want to do, and it's really hurts. It really hurts. So we've made a point now to don't do any teacher training on Mondays or Fridays, because they seem to be days where we have worse attendance. We try to keep them Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And we beg our people that if it's beautiful on a Friday in May, please don't take a personal day. You know, save your shopping for another day, you know, because Fridays in the spring are brutal. They're brutal trying to find coverage. And then you're stealing reading teachers to cover classrooms, and it's just, it's a domino effect. It's a mess.
Can we put together a motion?
That's what I was just gonna say. John, you have a name you said?
Sure. Or you just read this and then you guys.
That would be very
good. Okay, motion to appoint an elementary teacher to, located at Shahola Elementary School. Doesn't have to be part of the motion, but we're talking kindergarten. Her name is Catherine Hunt. She would replace Christine Smith. It would be at step 2B, $56,000. And the effective date would be August 20th, 2018.
Motion.
Mr. Julie.
When you say replace, what do you mean by that?
There was a teacher that left at Shahola who happened to be kindergarten. It doesn't have to be, but we always keep track of who's the new person replaced, or is it a brand new position? Catherine Hunt will be the new teacher, and she'll go to Shahola to kindergarten. K-A-D-A. K-E-R-I-N-E.
And the teacher we left, I'm sorry.
Christine Smith.
And we had a motion from Rosemary. Was there a second? Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objections, the motion carries. Going on announcements, meeting schedule, the September meeting.
If you don't mind, there's just one point I'd like to make. I'm always glad to see parents and members of the community here. As I've already mentioned, I've been serving on this board for a long time. Did you know that all you need to run for school board is 10 signatures? 10 Republican signatures and 10 Democratic signatures, and you are in the primary on both sides of the fence.
It's only 23 nights a year.
It is a great responsibility, but if you have a passion.
If you had a graduation there, too, and only once in July and August.
If you have a passion for public education, I highly recommend the job.
Absolutely.
Give it some thought.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
The reading material helps you sleep.
Or keeps you awake.
Yeah, but seriously, it's 2 nights a month. It's the second and third Thursday, usually, unless something gets in the way with the calendar, September through June. And then it's once in July, once in August, and then the extra day or 3 is graduation nights. That's why I came up with 23.
Are we at a shortage of staff members on the board?
No, but there's an election.
No, there's an
No, I know
election.
that, but, and we have a max number and we're at that.
There's not.
They're
Yeah,
not.
that's what I thought.
There's-
The encouragement of more people on the board is wonderful, but our board is full.
Well, not more
Well,
people, but
Come-
just,
Right.
Yeah,
Come
no, I
January,
understand that. I just wanted to
When
see where.
petitions have to be filed, yeah.
Half the board turns over every 2 years. So there are 4 members whose term of office is over, and that's open to whoever gets the most votes.
And just to give you an idea, we had a very long serving board. I mean, we had, and Pam's not here tonight. Pam's the longest serving board member. She's well over 20 years.
Because she got her 20 years, so she's gotta be in her 22nd year now?
But Sue Casey was on over 20 years, Chuck Pike was 14 years, Jack Fisher was 16 years. This is only my 7th year back, coming back to being the superintendent. But John and Pam are the only ones that were here when I got hired in 2012. So there is turnover, because people are busier than ever. You know, I mean, people just don't work the 9 to 5 shift anymore, so it's harder and harder to get people to volunteer, you know, right? It's hard, right? They're racing in here to make a meeting at 7 o'clock with a half a burger in their hand, and, you know, it's hard. So we just want to keep you aware, because it is part of the public process.
A lot of people run for the board when they have kids in the schools. I have a granddaughter going into kindergarten this year.
That's how long he's been on the board, right? How many years you up to now?
Next year it'll be my 20th. actually August. I'm in my 20th right now because I came in to fill an open spot as a board member resigned. A long time ago.
Okay, ready? The workshop meeting will be September 13th at 7 o'clock in the administrative office, which is where we are now. And the next regular meeting will be September 20th, 7 o'clock at Shahola Elementary School.
And we're doing something a little different, just so you know. We go out and travel to the other campuses, but we decided to do them at the beginning of the year, when everything's fresh and people are excited and involved. You know, like PTA people come to in the fall, and then in spring, you can't even get a quorum. It's the same thing trying to get attendance at. So we're going to Shahola in September, we're going to the new DVES in October, we're going to Hingham Middle School in November. So the first 3 months of the school year, we'll hit all the other campuses. Then the rest of the year, everything's here, just for simplicity's sake, for budget meetings and stuff. Everybody knows that every budget meeting, every workshop is here, so they don't have to figure out what to do.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for joining me. This, Julie, you'll be able to put the agenda on the Facebook page?
Thanks, Julie.
Thank you.